Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. This evening on page 66 of the Kashyapa Sutras, which is included in the book Shrima, the Guru and the Goddess, we're going to discuss Sutra number 11. And it's a really interesting sutra. It says, prana siddhi shankyam kuram. Now, shanti, we know, is peace. And prana siddhi is the attainment of prana. And prana means the life force, and prana means your breath. Through breath control, the attainment of siddhi, of breath control, or the control of your life force, you get peace. And ankuram means a wellspring, or a repository, a great source. So when you achieve the attainment of perfection in pranayam, you become a source, or a wellspring, a distributor of peace. Excuse me. The attainment of perfection of breath, or the life force, and by breath, attaining perfection, we mean pranayam. Attaining perfection in pranayam gives one an abundance of peace. Ankuram means abundance, it's a source, it's a wellspring. You become a distributor. It makes one a source of peace. It makes one distribute peace. Well, the text didn't change in the last 20 years. The first word pran means breath or life force. Remember that your breath in the gross body, in the subtle body, prana means the life force. It means your jiv shakti. It means the energy of individuality. So there are 5 kinds of breath. We remember prana, apana, dhyana, udana, samana. Prana is inhalation. Apana is exhalation. Samana is equalizing or staying still, like we call the kumbhaka. Dhyana is an involuntary expulsion, like gas or belching or sneezing, or even the little coughs that I was making. And just then Kamala, one of the disciples, coughs, and Swami says, dhyana. Thank you very much. That was a perfect example. Everybody laughs. Swami says to Kamala, you should be teaching this class. And Kamala replies, I can do it again. And Swami says, oh no, that would not be involuntary. If you try to do it, then it's not involuntary, it's voluntary. I've controlled it. So it's no longer dhyana, even though something is coughing or you've got a frog in your throat. Udana is bringing up the breath. So you got prana, apana, samana, dhyana, udana, bringing it up. Bring up that prana higher, 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 higher until you illuminate yourself with breath, with life force. Generally in pranayam, there are 3 phases to every breath. Purak is inhalation, kumbhak is retention, vachaka is exhalation. And this is the entire range of the pranamaya kosh. Remember that we started with the annamaya, of the consistency, of the thickness, of the constancy, of the consistency of anu, of matter. And then the pranamaya, of the consistency of breath. So that's the pranamaya kosh, the world of anu or atoms, that which is perceivable through the senses. We begin our journey inwards from the annamaya kosh. Remember, moi means manifestation. So anna moi means the manifestation of atoms, or the gross body, that which you can see through the senses, and that which is perceivable through the senses. And the pranamaya kosh is the world of breath. The breath is the relationship between the outer world and the inner world, and it is the avenue by which we bring oxygen from outside in and put carbon dioxide from the inside out. And from the pranamaya kosh we move to the manomaya kosh, the world of concepts and ideas and thoughts. And from the manomaya kosh we move to the vijnanamaya kosh, the world of light, the light of wisdom. All thoughts merging into the light of wisdom. Can't think of anything else but the light. We become the sun who never saw the darkness. And from the Vijnanamaya kosh we take all the light of wisdom and merge it into the Anandamaya kosh, and that's Sat Chit Ananda, truth, infinite consciousness, and pure bliss. So remember, the path by which we come is the means by which we return, and we always want to practice whenever we come. We've got to take the same path to go. Don't think you can skip a step. So from the Anandamaya kosh we move into the Vijnanamaya kosh and take all the bliss and put it into the light of wisdom. And from the Vijnanamaya kosh we move into the Manomaya kosh and take the light of wisdom and illuminate all of our thoughts. And fill your thoughts with love and joy and beauty, Sat Chit Ananda. Take all those thoughts from the Manomaya kosh and put them into the Pranamaya kosh and exhale love and joy and wisdom and peace into the creation. And these are the Panch kosh, the 5 sheaths, the coverings or layers in order from their most gross to their most subtle forms. These are the avenues by which we bring our awareness from the outside world to the inside. Prana is an avenue of ingress and egress, and bringing our awareness inside by following the breath. Now, prana siddhi is the attainment of perfection in the control of the breath, in the awareness of breath, in the various phases of breathing. Shanti is peace. Ankuram means abundance, a source. It is like a well, a large container. You become the source of peace, the distributing system of peace. You become filled with an abundance of peace by attaining the siddhi in prana. That is our shloka. By practicing pranayam, you become filled with an abundance of peace. You become a distributor of peace. You radiate peace. You become the source of peace, the inspiration for peace in everyone who sees you. So there are 2 shaktis included in every mantra. They are vachaka and vaikarika. Vachaka Shakti is an intellectual understanding of the words. What does the dictionary say this means? It's vachaka. You can look it up in the dictionary and find the meaning of the word. So the words mean something, and understanding those words, it gives us an intellectual concept of what we're trying to say. Now, vaikarika means an intuitional understanding. If we sit in the asana properly, and if we breathe according to the number of syllables in the mantra, if we automatically, our breath will be regulated by the chanting. The mantra is a mathematical formula which regulates how much air we need to how much air we have to put out. And then we achieve prana siddhi. One makes a source, it makes one a source of peace to the universe, indicating that chanting the scriptures will be a very important part of our discipline. That's why we chant the scriptures, because it regulates our breath. We get the vachaka shakti by intellectually understanding what it is we're saying, and we get the vaikarika shakti, the energy of intuitional understanding, by doing the pranayam with asana, with mudra, with kriya, with understanding. We do the tantra, weaving together all the various aspects of our studies of Sanskrit. We have ucharan, pronunciation, and darshan shastra is philosophy and grammar, and you have itihas and sankitya and the history and the literature, and you have the paduti, how it's all woven together to use. And we take all of our knowledge of Sanskrit and we weave it together with the pranayam, and we achieve siddhi in the pranayam, and then we become a source of peace. We become filled with an abundance of peace. So prana siddhi makes one a source of peace, indicating chanting the scriptures will be a very important part of our discipline. Through reciting the scriptures and breathing according to the mathematical formulas of the scriptures, we attain the control of breath. Pranayam. Yam means to control. Prana is controlled through inhaling the verses and exhaling the verses. And prana siddhi is the attainment of perfection in managing the breath. Or when we chant the Chandi part, we inhale the mantras and exhale the mantras, and this creates a regular rhythm of purak, kumbhak, rechak. The purpose of reciting the scriptures is not only to understand them intellectually, that's vachaka shakti, but also to breathe in and out the power of God, vaikarika shakti. You get the intuition of what it is, the illumination of the intuition. You get to go into meditation and feel what the scriptures are saying, and how does it apply to me? And what does it mean in my life? If you are performing japa, and then you will want to maintain the traditional formulas for purak, kumbhak, and rechak, and we're teaching right now the formula of 1, 4, 2, or any proportion that maintains this ratio, like 4, 16, 8, whatever. So you're going to inhale one mantra. Let's say we're using Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. And retaining 4 mantras. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and exhaling 2 mantras. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And that is the ratio of 1 to 4 to 2. Purak, kumbhak, rechak. This is the formula of pranayam. You can practice that in your own practices. In chanting the scriptures, you may inhale one mantra and exhale another mantra. There are numerous formulas for pranayam, depending on the scripture you are reciting and the way in which you are chanting it. For example, Dharmadat, one of the disciples, was just chanting a beautiful Ratri Shuktam from the Chandi, and he was breathing at the quarter of every verse. And the purak and the kumbhak grow proportionately longer as the rechak. So the rechak is the verbal expression of the mantras. In purak, we are performing japa. In kumbhak, we are performing japa, the silent recitation of the mantra. In rechak, we are audibly performing pronouncing the mantra. Thus, the mantra becomes a formula for pranayam. It is not only the intellectual expression of devotion, but also the formula for prana siddhi, shantyam kuram. By attaining the perfection of controlling the breath, one becomes a source of peace, attains an abundance of peace, becomes filled with peace. Let's do it silently. The purak, the kumbhak, and audibly with the rechak. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. In this way, we're using purak and kumbhak silently, 1, 4, and pronouncing rechak audibly, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. 2. 1, 4, 2 will be a standard pranayam for meditation. And by doing this, by attaining the perfection of controlling the breath, one becomes a source of peace, attains an abundance of peace, becomes filled with peace, he becomes a wellspring of peace, sprouting peace, growing peace, inspiring peace. Shanti, 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 Akura. In our effort to maintain perfection of the control of breath, we can use the mathematical formulas of mantras in order to regulate the breath. The mantra regulates the breath as well as controls the mind. Mantrayate iti mantra. That which takes away the mind is a mantra. Mantrayate, it takes it away. Iti, and that is a mantra. So we control the mind by expanding the concept which the mind is conceiving. Om Namah Shivaya. Oh my, the consciousness of the infinite beyond conception. I am bowing to the consciousness of infinite goodness. Now what does that mean? I mean, you can't picture the consciousness of infinite goodness. You get a little bit of a glimpse, you get an idea, you can see a Shiva Lingam, you can see a Shiva Murti, you can look at Sri Ma, you can look at so many different forms and say, this is the consciousness of infinite goodness, this is goodness, it's exuding goodness, there's goodness ad infinitum, it's going and growing and growing, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But when you start breathing, I bow to that consciousness of infinite. When you start living, I bow to that. When you are filled with the abundance of peace which comes from that intuition, that understanding, that intuitional expression, that experience of Om Namah Shivaya, then the meaning grows and grows and grows. So we control the mind by expanding the concept which the mind is conceiving. You go to the limits of infinity. Go ahead, picture the world as an infinite, never-ending, never-ending. It's bigger and bigger and better and infinite goodness. And now, when you get to where you can't go any farther, make it even bigger and bigger and better. That's the starting place for the concept, for the meditation on Lord Shiva. The consciousness of infinite goodness. So here we are conceiving the mantra, Tvam Shwaha, Tvam Shwada. You are Swaha, you are Swada, you are the oblations to the gods which say, I unite with divinity. You are oblations to the ancestors which give my highest respect to the departed relatives, through which we have come to this understanding. Each of us was born with a certain samskara, a certain tendency, a certain proclivity, a certain capacity to manifest our karma in specific ways, and for that purpose we were born in certain families which were conducive to our expression of the karma which was outstanding in our lives. Each of us took birth in a certain social, economic environment which was necessary for us to get the foundation upon which to build, which brought us to the Devi Mandir tonight. Now we're in a good place with good people doing good things, thinking nice thoughts, and we're thinking about becoming filled with an abundance of peace. Anything better? Anything that we could be doing that would be better than what we're doing right now, considering what does it take for me to become filled with an abundance of peace and become a source of peace and an inspiration for peace and a wellspring of peace and a reservoir of peace wherever I go to inspire that peace wherever we may be. We're in a pretty good place. So now, With that understanding, I want to say to my relatives, anything you did to help me get here, if you put one brick in the foundation, if you would put one block, pour a little bit of cement, put one piece of steel to make a firm foundation by which I could climb the heights of the Devi Mandir to put me here now. Dhanyavad. Shukriya. Thanks a lot. I bow to you. Thank you for everything you may have done. So now we want to say thank you. Our expression of appreciation. Sadhu has three things: pure love, inspiration, appreciation. I want to say I appreciate whatever you did for me, and I certainly want to turn around and do it for the next generations too. Just like you did for me. I would love the next generations of all the ancestors from the various generations to come to the Devi Mandir and become inspired to be filled with an abundance of peace. Why not? What have they got better to do in their lives? What is more important than to come and be filled with an inspiration to be an abundance of peace, an inspiration for peace, a source of peace? Now, through that nurturing period of development and growth in that particular family, in that particular environment, we have attained to this understanding that we all want to become Dharmadhattas, ambassadors of the ideals of perfection. Dharmadatta was a devotee who is a devotee who was in the Devi Mandir at the time when this discourse was given, and everyone was laughing at him. We are all striving to become ambassadors of the ideal of perfection, Dharmadhattas. And we are all striving, that's a father, Dasimadatta. We are all striving to become an ideal manifesting our dharma, our swadharma, our personal ideal of perfection. For this purpose, we were born in a certain family which could nurture within us nurture us in a particular environment which was conducive for us to reach our highest potential. Now we have attained to this understanding, so we want to say to our ancestors, thank you. To all our relatives, we say thank you for giving us this opportunity to arrive at such an understanding and appreciation. Do you remember sometimes in your childhood when you rebelled against the environment your family was providing? Many of us resisted our environment in our youth. And now here we are with some greater degree of sophistication and understanding, and we can look back with much greater appreciation because those youthful experiences are what brought us to this present. And at present we are in a very good place, so we want to say to all of our ancestors, Swada, thank you very much. We give you our respect. We give you our appreciation. Through you, we have come to this present understanding. Could you think of a better place to be? In the temple of the Divine Mother with a beautiful saint and a lovely satsang. And Sri Maha says, with a beautiful Swami. And then everybody laughed at me. And everyone is sharing good energy and wisdom and love and spiritual fellowship together in the three worlds. Where else could we want to be? That would be more appropriate. So, thank you, relatives. Thank you. Is there anyone up there who is listening? I really appreciate being allowed the privilege of living here. Tvam swaha. Tvam swada, tvam hiva shatkara swaratnika. Oh, that's not in the book. That is the intellectual meaning of what we are singing. That is why we are saying these verses. Intellectually, that's what it means. But equally important to what we are saying is what we are breathing. Prana siddhi shanti ankuram. As we are breathing in this knowledge and breathing it out and holding it, that wisdom, that feeling becomes a part of us. These are not just words that come from our head. These are feelings. These feelings are vibrating through our circulatory system. We feel them in every pore of our being. This sense of appreciation, of privilege. We become the ankuram of shanti, the abundance of peace, the source of wealth, the well of peace, the ocean of peace, the repository of peace, the reservoir of peace. Our ancestors provided us with all that we needed to progress in our search. And for that purpose, we are beholden to 7 generations previous to us, while the 7 generations to come will benefit from our attainment of understanding. Well, here we are in the middle of 14 generations. And 7 generations previous to us, we're saying thank you for everything you did to put us here today. And 7 generations to come, we're saying, hey guys, benefit from this effort that I'm producing, because just as my 7 generations of ancestors provided me the foundation to come here, I am delivering to you a foundation as well. And we are beholden to all 7 generations previous, and 7 generations to come will benefit from our attainment. Whether or not our ancestors knew what they were doing, they cultivated certain qualities which we needed in order to manifest our highest ideals of perfection. They may have looked at us and said, oh, we failed. And they may have. They may have looked upon us and said, when is my son going to get a haircut and a real job? But we came to this understanding. When we come to this understanding, we will say, thank you very much for everything you have done. We are in a very good place. I like where I am and I can see where I'm going. Thank you. I've got a plan, I got a goal, I've got a destination, I got a path. I'm found. I like me. I am on my way to becoming the person I respect most highly. That's a good place. Thank you. That is why every day we perform tarpon and shraddha and remember our ancestors with appreciation as part of the puja. Some time ago we were traveling in on a city freeway on a Monday morning. I looked at the faces of the people in the other cars, and I saw very few people who looked like they wanted to be going where they were going, or doing what they wanted to be doing. And here we are, a privileged few, who have this understanding and appreciation because we are where we want to be. We chose to come here tonight. We are contemplating the name of God, how to increase the presence of divinity in our own lives, how to become the ankuram shanti, the reservoir, the source of peace for the entire universe, how to infect others with our exuberance of peace and control our own minds. Through the recitation of Scripture, we breathe and inhale the wisdom of the Scripture. We exhale the Scripture, and we become the source of peace. The mantra is written in chanda, a meter. And chanda has a specified number of syllables. The syllables are a formula for breathing. Even more important than the intellectual understanding is to inhale the name of God and exhale the name of God. If we can do that, we will come to an intuitive understanding of what the mantra is saying. That was Kashyapa Sutra. Prana siddhi shanti ankura. Hams shayute dimanashte. Brahmani Rupa Dharini Kushampaksharike Devi Narayani Namostute. Wearing the form of creative energy, sitting upon the carrier, yoked to the swans of pranayam, a vital breath. The swan sprinkling water with the sanctity of kusha grass. O goddess exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. Her conveyance is pulled by 2 swans, the Hamsa, So Hamsa. The Hamsa means so hum, the formula of pranayam. Sa means prakriti. Ha means purush. The pranayam of so hum or Hamsa is purush prakriti. Purush prakriti. Shiva Shakti. The swan of pranayam, the swan of vital breath, the swan that pulls your conveyance is the union of consciousness with nature in pranayam. When you are using the So Hum mantra, remember that it is the Hamsha, it's the swan that goes to the highest heights of heaven. It becomes the swan, just as Valmiki Muni sat and said, Mora, 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 Rama, Rama, Rama. He said, Ram, 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 Ram. He couldn't say the name of Ram. He was too holy. He said the name dead body, Mora, Mora, Ram, Ram, Ram. And the dead body became the supreme divinity made manifest. In the same way, the Soham mantra becomes the Hamsa, the swan, pranayam. There are many traditions that practice the recitation of the Chandi, both in Siddha Path and Ulta Path, and reading it forwards and backwards. And Ma laughs. If you go to a physician, wouldn't you want him to know his material backwards and forwards? In the same way, if someone is going to operate on your soul, isn't that more important than the person who is going to operate only on your body? So, that is why we should know our discipline backwards and forwards. As we study chanting, we are concerned with the pronunciation of the syllables. The reason is so that we don't miss a breath. It is not that because you might offend the gods if you mispronounce their name, but if you mispronounce or stumble, you may miss a breath, and then you will lose count of the syllables. It is why we try to refine the pronunciation to as great a degree as possible. Just think, if 32 syllables to a breath suddenly becomes 33, if you find that you are one syllable long someplace, you must be short someplace else. A day late and $1 short. Well, here's a mantra long and one syllable short. Ma speaks in Bengali and Swamiji translates, when you are absorbed in the chant, then automatically the balance will come. When the ego comes and starts drifting off into personal reveries and thoughts and watching your own movies instead of watching the story of the Chandi, then it is very easy to make a mistake. In fact, every mistake that we make in chanting is a failure to pay attention. Lapse of attention makes an error. You can tell how many mistakes you make by figuring out how many mantras are missing a syllable. As intensely as the ego becomes absorbed into the meaning and meter of a chant, to that extent you have control over the ego. Prana siddhi shantyankaram. When you lose attention to that prana, you lose the shanti. Sorry. The ego takes off in its own reverie and you start watching the movies. Your mouth is chanting the syllables while your mind is off somewhere else. As soon as you can submerge yourself completely into the chant and the text, you become the scripture and automatically the balance comes. When the mind takes you away into reverie, you lose control of your breath, and becoming out of breath, you lose your peace. Om Sam Sarasvati Namaha. Namaste. Let's see if there are any questions about Prana Siddhi Shantyankuram.
We have a question from Joshua.
Namaste, Joshua.
Namaste. Is there anything we can do other than doing pranayam at a certain time of day to focus on our breath and the rest of the activities of the day? Is there a certain breath exercise or mantra that is good to use when at work, running, etc.?
Yes, many. Many, 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 many. Joshua, I would recommend first that you use the Sankalpa mantra that Mother is giving us every month. She gives us one mantra. This month we're saying Om Sat Chit Ekam Brahma. Aren't we?
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. It's Shravan month, see? I'm dwelling in the past. We are using Om Namah Shivaya. Perfect mantra to keep your Om Namah Shivaya going. Just go to your place of work, and whenever you're doing a bodily task that doesn't require to focus the attention of your mind, if you're standing and doing something with your body, a repetitive task, Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. There are many ways. Use the Sankalpa mantra that Mother is giving us every month. And then you can use any other mantra that is appropriate for the work that you're doing. So that will keep your breath in harmony. It will keep your mind focused. It will keep you efficient so you're not scattered about in your thoughts, wishing for things that will be destructive to you.
We have a question from Sadhana Shakti.
Namaste, Sadhana.
If we want to deliver a foundation to the current and to the 7 generations to come, how do we cultivate our highest ideals of perfection with our family that we don't or might not ever see?
Your example will automatically inspire all the members of the family to change their lives. It just radiates and resonates through the family, every wonderful thing you do. And unfortunately, every stupid thing you do also goes through the family tree. There's just a grapevine, and suddenly there's tapping on the pipes, and everybody in the immediate family and the extended family, and whether you see them or not, they get the news that sadhana did something great. And everybody is so proud and appreciative and inspired to try to do something great in their own lives. And that's that example that you set by leading your life with purity and clarity and commitment and sincerity and moving ahead and progressing in all the dimensions of Dharma, expressing an ideal of perfection in everything you do. That's going to radiate through the family. It can't not help but radiate through the family. Everyone's going to get the news. Sadhana did something great. Whether you hide it and don't tell anybody, it's going to come out. They're going to see you living in a nice new place with a beautiful environment and driving a nice beautiful car. And we're coming with a billfold full of bills, and they're going to say, this lady's got it together. She's got it. She's got the Shakti with her. She's been doing some sadhana. She must have been doing sadhana. We can see the progress in her life. She's independent spiritually, materially, and she's got her desires under control. She's not getting into trouble. She's not dissatisfied. She's not unhappy. She's reaching for the highest attainments. That news cannot be hidden. All you have to do, sadhana, is live your life and adhere to these principles of Dharma, looking for the highest ideal of perfection in everything that you do. You will automatically inspire 7 generations to come. Someone's going to say, your great-great-aunt Sadhana Shakti got the Shakti from doing the sadhana. And she changed her life, and as a consequence, your other aunts changed their lives, and your brothers and sisters, and your steps and your unsteps, they all changed their lives, and everybody got inspired by sadhana's example. And that's how you will affect the next 7 generations to come.
We have a question from Vivekananda.
Yes, Vivekananda, namaste.
From my limited training in yoga and pranayam techniques, I have learned that there are extremely strict guidelines regarding pranayam, i.e. diet, time of day, personal instruction by the guru, perfection of asana. These guidelines seem to preclude all but perfected disciples from even beginning the practices. How do these rules fit into our discipline, if at all?
Vivek, if by any chance or stretch of the imagination you consider us to be gurus, then forget all that stuff. Abandon all that nonsense. The only rules and regulations of the Devi Mandir family are do it. Do it to the best of your ability. Skip that nonsense. Why you shall not do that. Thou shalt not forget it. Put it out of your vocabulary. Get it out of your brain. You should. You should do it. Even if you do it wrong, you'll learn how to do it right. But don't stop doing it because it's not the right time and I ate something and I did something and oh, I scratched my backside and therefore I can't. No! Do it. Do it to the best of your ability and it will only get better. I promise you. The rules will become the natural expressions of your rhythm of life. But don't start off by, I gotta obey the rules. Start off by, I've gotta do the sadhana to the best of my ability. At any time that's convenient. Vivek, you've got a number of things on your plate. I'm sorry, it's a very full plate. I'm proud of you for what you're doing, but you've got a job and you've got studies, you've got a family, you've got an income, you've got to support a sansar, you've got a lot of stuff. And you can't do sadhana only at your requested time. Your whole life has got to be sadhana. Whenever you get time to close down and do pranayam and do yoga asanas and do this puja, do that puja, any time is appropriate to worship. There is no wrong time to worship, according to me. And if you want to quote me on that, you certainly can. You can say there's one bogus Swami living in Napa who said, I can worship any time of the day or night. I don't have to obey all the rules. And you talk to him if you don't like what I'm doing. I will accept responsibility. That's my vow. That's my commitment with a capital C.
We have a question from Rosie.
Namaste, Rosie Ma.
Namaste. When I am chanting Chandi, it seems like my chanting creates the most benefit when I'm taking longer breaths for longer recitations of verses. It is harder for my chanting to create that energy with a shorter breath and shorter verse. Will you speak about this?
Yes, you're right. And that's why we have settled on 2 verses to the breath for the rhythm of our family's recitation, what we do all together. But when I chant by myself, I do 5 verses to the breath. Because that makes every inhalation a little longer, and the retention a little longer, and the pronunciation a little longer, and as it gets longer, the space between the thoughts gets longer, and it gets brighter. And when you chant, breathing at the quarter of the breath, or the quarter of the verse, and then you're really reciting from the vachaka shakti. Yadguyam paramandoke sarvarachakaram vinam yana kashyap shidakyatam tanme bruti pitamaha. Whereas if you breathe one breath and say the whole mantra in one breath, it's got a whole new vaikarika shakti that's not just vachaka. You're not singing from your head, you're singing from your heart. And if you put 2 verses together and they get louder and longer and brighter and more pronounced and more dynamic, and you feel it and you're expressing what's being said in the text because there's this battle going on and you're really into surrendering the ego, Rosie, then it becomes your story. It's your history that we're reading. You are the king who gave up her kingdom. You are the business person who gave up her business. You went to the ashram of the intellect of love and you became full of inspiration to praise the goddess who is all energy and say, hey, you've got the energy of everything in all. Please take away the energy from my ego and my attachments. I'm fighting this battle with ego and attachment. You take away the ego, take away the attachments, take all the energy, it's yours. It's yours anyway. So now you enjoy. And now I get to be the witness, the narrator of the battle between you and all the demons, all the negativities inside my brain. Rosie, it becomes more dynamic and more powerful, and you get into the intuitive quality of the experience rather than just the intellectual understanding. And that's where I'm trying to go.
We have a question from Ramya.
Namaste, Rami Mami.
Do 7 generations, before and after, refer only to our physical family?
No, you are influencing the whole world. Rami Mami, every time you even come to the Devi Mandir through a webcam or a chat session, you are influencing and inspiring the entire universe. Even if there are people in Zanzibar who haven't heard of us, or there are people on Mount Kilimanjaro who are listening to this discourse, you are just inspiring the whole world, 7 generations previous and 7 generations to come. Your every utterance, your every action, everything you do with your body, your mind, and your soul, you are inspiring and influencing all the universe, 7 generations previous and 7 generations to come, particularly your immediate family. Because within your family, I'm sure there's going to be somebody who says, you know, your one aunt was a saint. She became Rami Mami, known all around the world as the spiritual inspiration of the Devi Mandir. Traveled around the world with a guy named Srini Baba. The Lord of the highest respect, wherein respect always dwells, Sri Nivasan. The Nivash of all the Sri. Sha means Shanti, Ra means your mind, E means your heart. The highest respect is peace in your mind and peace in your heart. That Rami, the beautiful one, the illuminated one. Yeah, it's the whole world. Sorry about that. Not just your family, but a lot in your family too, because your aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody else, brothers and sisters and mothers and grandfathers, they're all going to tell the story of Rami Mami who went off to America, and instead of becoming a crorepati, she lived in an ashram. Now, can you imagine that? Instead of trying to accumulate as much wealth as she could, she went for the gold. She went for the real wealth. The Sri Nivasan. The repository of the highest respect.
We have a question from Saranya.
Namaste, Sharanya.
Pranayam seems like a wonderful technique to help people become more peaceful. Can children be taught pranayam, or is there an age limit to this practice? Also, are there any other restrictions, for example, for very sick people or people with mental disabilities, etc.?
No. Next question. No, Sharanya, there are no age restrictions. There are no restrictions for sick people. In fact, the sicker you are, the more you need it. This is the best cure for all that ails you in your body, your mind, and your soul. Every child, as soon as they're old enough to understand what we're talking about, they are capable. You see the infants that come to the Devi Mandir, they're just out of the womb. 40 days out of the womb, they come to the Devi Mandir. The first thing Ma does is she whispers Om Namah Shivaya in their ear. The first things that she does, they bring these newborn infants to our temple, and the first thing Mother does is give them she blows in their ear and kisses them in their ear and puts some honey in their ear, and so they only hear sweetness, and they only listen to the breath of the Guru, and they only listen to the name of God. That's the blessing that she gives. There is never too young, and never too old, and never too infirm, and there is no excuse. And there are no rules that say you can't do it when you have your period, and you can't do it when you have your comma, and you can't do it when you have a question mark or a punctuation. There are no rules. Just do it. That's the only rule. Do it to the extent of your capacity. If you can't do it all the whole way, then do it as much as you can do. If you can't do it as much as you can do, well then, do it as a little more. Try. That's the only rule. When your kids went to kindergarten, and they sat and they drew a picture, and they brought home their artwork from the classroom, and they handed it to mommy. And what'd she do? She put it on the refrigerator door. Look at this, my child. This is a work of art. I am so proud of you. I'm so privileged to have a child like you who is striving in the path for excellence. She gave all the encouragement she could to all of her kids. Won't our Divine Mother do even more? If we're our not so Divine Mothers can do that much, then our Divine Mother will say, hey, at least these kids are trying. They don't know, and they admit they don't know, and they're not trying to be masters, and they're not trying to be gurus. They're trying to be sadhus, and they're practicing in order to learn how do I become filled with an abundance of peace. My only goal. Now, why would Mother dock us if we didn't observe all the rules? She'll give us extra points if we do observe all the rules, but she will not subtract points if we don't fulfill all the rules. She'll say, hey, these kids are trying. I'm going to give them extra credit for their effort.
We have a question from Julia.
Namaste, Julia Ma.
What is this experience where we hear within you and Ma's chanting the sound vibration, the sound, the rhythm, and not so much the words, but the elements that make the words? Does this fall into the category of pranayam?
Well, yes, you're listening to the nad shakti. It's that vibration, that subtle vibration that you hear. Not just the vachaka shakti, which is the pronunciation of every word. We are not orators elucidating the exact meanings of the text. We are chanting the vaikarika shakti, that intuitional shakti, that concerned with what you heard in your ears. It's what we hear inside. It's that vibration, that spandana, that vibrating frequency which is coming inside, and it's making this vibration, especially where the eyes and the ears and the nose and the mouth unite right behind the third eye, somewhere inside, deep inside, on the axis of the Shushumna. If you draw a line from the Sahasrara to the Muladhara, somewhere in that vicinity, this spandana, this vibration is vibrating at its own frequency, and it's giving us this vaikarika experience. It's an intuition. It's a meditation on the inner vibration. Who cares what goes outside? I'm not an entertainer. I'm not trying to entertain or explain or translate for the people outside. I'm trying to understand it myself inside. I'm trying to live it. That's my focus, that's my concern. So Julia, the vibration that you hear, hopefully, is the outward expression of that inner experience that Sri Ma and I are trying to vibrate and communicate to us. And if we can understand it, well, obviously somebody outside can too. Dhanyavad. Thank you very much.
We have a question from Nanda.
Namaste, Nandama.
Why is Om added to every mantra, like Om Namah Shivaya, Nivarna mantra, etc.? It seems easier to chant without the Om.
Nandama, every mantra had its birth in Om. Every mantra has its termination in Om. So if you look at the Panchakshar mantra, we're counting the syllables Na, Ma, Si, Va, Ya. Panch Akshar, 5 letters. We don't count the Om because it's there automatically. That is the origin and the terminus. It's Adi Ant. It is the Samput of all creation. Om is from whence cometh the entire creation, and Om is into which the entire creation will dissolve. And therefore, Om is the substance of all existence, and it's included in every mantra. If you want to lose your mind, mantrayate. If you want to lose your mind, lose it in Om.
Yeah. Just say Om.
Just say Om.
No need to say other mantras.
Whoa! How easy Srima is. I would rather do sadhana for her than work with that silly Swami. He's got all these books of mantras. Nanda, all the origin and the terminus of every mantra is Om. So it's included with every mantra. Sometimes it's written and sometimes it's not. But it's there, none the same, all the same.
We have a question from Kamala.
Namaste, Kamala.
Since this sutra is guiding our understanding of using pranayam in the practice of japa, does Ma have any further guidance or suggestions for those who are joining the Sankalpa Om Namah Shivaya?
Do you?
Brahmana.
এই সূত্রটা প্রাণায়ামের ব্যাপারে বাক্য করছে তোমার কোনো উপদেশ আছে ওর প্রাণায়াম কি করতে পারবে
I pranayam.
ওর সিদ্ধান্ত আছে প্রাণায়াম করতে পারবে Kamala, and I hope you're our Kamala.
Yeah.
Yeah? Then Kamala, you were the one who explained dhyana. In this text, you've been immortalized on the first page of this text. You were the one who coughed in the middle of the class. And you knew what the pranayam was. So yes, every time you take in any breath, any time you put out any breath, whether it's from the top or the bottom, you please remember the name of God. That will be the highest upadesh, that will be the highest suggestion that we could possibly offer.
Or she can
But,
cough.
what?
Or she can cough every time.
You can cough, every cough, Om Namah Shivaya. Every sneeze, Om Namah Shivaya. Every sniffle, Om Namah Shivaya. Every pranayam, Om Namah Shivaya. Kamala, you are Om Namah Shivaya.
We have a question from Rosie.
Namaste, Rosie.
Do those who can have come and gone before us benefit from us now also? All those who have given to us, do they receive some, however small, a contribution we might create?
Absolutely they do, without a doubt. Nishande. And you can verify this in your own experience. If you are getting blessings from your ancestors, you feel blessed, you're walking with their blessings, you know you're on the right path. You've got confidence, you've got sadhana shakti, you've got the energy of producing the pure behavior, the discipline. You know you're doing the right thing. You don't have any equivocation. You don't have any hesitation. You don't have any obstructions. You just march forward. Rosie, this is the blessing of your ancestors.
We have a question from Nanda.
Namaste, Nandama.
In relation to last night, until victory happens to take away the pain, are we destined to suffer?
Yep. Absolutely. If there's pain, you're going to feel it. I don't doubt that. You will feel the pain, but victory is in sight. It's possible to achieve victory. So then strive for that victory. Strive for the goals that put your life into harmony, that put yourself into a state of balance and a state of of harmony, where you know where you're going, you know why you're going there, you know what you propose to get when you get there, and you feel yourself confident in moving towards your goal. That gives you the peace. Then you control your breath, you control your life, you control your life force, you control the subtle energy of your whole being, because it's directed towards my goal. And then you get that jai, that victory, which makes an end to all pain. That is the victory. When we know where we're going and why we're going there, and confidently we are moving with one point of mind, we forget all the pains, all the obstructions, all the obstacles. We achieve the siddhi, the attainment of pranayam, and we get the shanti, and we become shanti akaram. We become the reservoir of peace, the distributor of peace, the source of peace, the inspiration for peace, the well of peace, the wellspring, sprouting peace, and growing peace, nurturing peace, cultivating peace, and sharing peace wherever we go. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.